Evening, guys. I'm squeaking in here. I was supposed to go live yesterday, but the power went out, so that screwed up my whole evening. So I am in to do the country reading. So I'm going to start with Canada, which is the one I live in here. But we got 3 votes for Canada, and the rest all had 1 vote. So I'm going to do Canada, the United States, and England tonight. So I'm going to start with Canada, of course, first. And then tomorrow night or the night after, sometime before Friday, the other 3 countries that got voted for were New Zealand, the Philippines, and Pakistan. So I'm going to do those sometime by the end of the week. Okay? So I'm going to start out with Canada as the country. Now, I'm just going by the seat of my pants here. I had done a reading with a friend of mine for Canada way back in the day, and it was quite interesting what I got. So I'm going to do little mini readings. I decided to use masculine and feminine energies, and I used my messenger deck, my this one, conscious spirit, and some of my earthly decks, the voice of the trees deck. And I got a new Dreams of Gaia deck. It's really beautiful. So I'm just going to use all these kind of mystical cards and see what I can come up with. Okay, so they're just going to channel whatever they give me, and I'll spit it out. So, sorry, I'm going to move this over for my cards. Okay, so for Canada, the masculine and feminine energies. I'll start with the feminine first. So these are, I'm thinking what the major feminine energy, again, you don't have to be a female to be in a feminine energy. So kind of the on the earth plane, what's going on. So Rihanna, self-trust was the earth energy for Canada in the feminine aspect. So just give me a minute here to channel what they give me. Yeah. So, okay, again, we're in Canada here. We're talking about being grounded, and they're making me look at the horse. The horse has his feet on the ground. So, making a connection on the animals on the earth, and the trust is the word that they made me aware of here, that the feminine on the earth are feeling more grounded or more attracted overall, right, as general overall energies, to contributing to the animals that sustain and help, like the ecosystem, right? So the horses that make the manure, the cows, all of that. So there's maybe a feminine energy that's leading here, and this is not going to come down to one person. Energy as a whole, right, is what I read. So basically picking up on the animals and the importance of animals on the earth. And a lot of feminine energy is tapping into that, realizing the resources that we have here. We got to sustain. So getting into ground roots energy, where we're making connections here in awareness level. We got to be aware of the animals, which, you know, they're going extinctions as well. There might be... that's interesting. Okay. What they're saying here is, this is Canada, and they're talking about domesticated, how do you say, like farmland animals, not wild per se, but those that are bred either for meat or for sustainability of the land. There might be some shocking extinctions in this area, and there's bewilderment because of this. We might have a whole line of species that just drops off uncategorically. Again, like there's no, it's almost like there's no reason, but we'll find reasons. This is what they're telling me. So know that species, when it comes to farmland and farming off the land, when we utilize animals for this as well, there may be some shocking, and they're going 10 years maximum for this, but within the next 5, we're going to see a heavy decline or problems in species due to land, what they eat off the land, and this type of thing. Things that there's no problem of this, like either, I don't want to say horses, but they're making me think of horses, or selective breed of horse that just completely, it takes every single one of them out. There's the line is completely gone. Thanks, Sheila. My dad made it for me. It's a little bit, I gotta adjust here. But yeah, something, I'm saying domesticated, but not necessarily domestic, like we're thinking, but not wild animals that roam free. These are animals that are bred for the land. Now, beyond that, I'm feeling, because they're focusing on the feminine aspect here, it's like an uprising, and this may have to do with the compassion that opens up as a spiritual advancement as well overall. Kind of the women are leading the way in that area. We're supposed to be. Again, you don't necessarily have to be a female to have that feminine energy. You can have males that have this, and they just lead with their compassion. So they carry that up front. So a sense of these type of people coming in and saying, okay, we gotta like gather forces to rectify this. I feel like there may be some question marks as to, because they're giving me a sense like it's either cows or horses or a strain of such, like if we have Jersey cows or a whole line of just gone. Because something that genetically in their makeup, this is weird, it just takes out the whole strain for whatever reason, and then it gets people to look into the feed and all of that, and then they find out stuff from that. So that's as far as I'm going to go there. But the feminine energy trying to bring a movement forward in regards to animals and their coexistence on the earth, and their like reworking the system in a way where we better profit, not monetarily, but earth conscious wise. Okay, that's all good. Now for the male energy for Canada, again, this is Canadian. We have the death card. Okay. They're making me look at the hyenas or wolves or whatever that is. There's going to be a transformation, really, of the energy of kind of like dog eat dog, right? So on the masculine side here, and they're talking more like big business, right? And in regards to, you know, it's kind of a sideline to this, not necessarily in this area, but bigger business, where the masculines, some of the masculines anyway, are kind of climbing to the top. There's going to be a wiping out of, how would I say that? Wiping out of, it's almost like they don't want to climb that ladder anymore. Suddenly they're realizing the morality here. It's not right and just and true. There's a sense of lacking in that area, suddenly being awakened to that. So the masculine energies on the Canadian land here are really going to turn a new leaf in the way of not just working for money, but working again, complementing this feminine side, which talks about things that work on the earth to help the earth, you know, how the ecosystem, right? How we can cohabitate and work together. I'm not up on those words, but working in an ecosystem basically with the earth and the animals on it is what I'm getting from the feminine. Now from the masculine, I'm getting a sense of papers, like up way up in Parliament, this kind of thing, there's going to be a death to the way that they behave or strive to go to the top. We're not going to be able to go up the same ladder anymore, is what they're saying. And the sense I get on the masculine side is politics. So let me feel that out a little more here before I move on. The dog-eat-dog world is going to have to be more, you have to work with me, so I can't chew your head off because I need you to move forward. And we coexist together. That kind of more of a cooperative system than dog-eat-dog here. Hi, Vivian. Good evening. No, I'm in late here. My power went out yesterday, and I'm just busy, so trying to get these readings out. Hopefully you enjoy. There's a lot of wacky stuff coming through I didn't expect. But nonetheless, so those are the feminine, masculine. Feminine is really ground roots with her compassion and the animals and the ecosystem that coexists there. And the masculines are going to be rerouted, realizing that there's an old system here of dog-eat-dog that does not work anymore. So they're going to have to pool more resources. Men are going to have to work more together than against each other. So they're really going to have to turn to their fellow man in compassion as well, which is not going to come very natural. These men are going to be lost. But at the same time, they're going, it doesn't matter, because the first time we turn to that fellow man and say, I need help, suddenly greater things happen than 10 years of these men working in their little offices by themselves. So again, that working together, really. Yeah, okay. So those are the masculine, general masculine and feminine for Canada. So what I did from there was I went and I got a, what card? Conscious Spirit card for the for Canada. And the earth, it came up with the number 6 earth elemental, and it says, I gratefully accept the abundance the earth bestows to me. Again, looking at getting more in touch with the literal earth and what it, without all of the, what's the word? Synthetics. What does the earth give me? I've got trees, I've got rivers and lakes and soil and animals, and how do we make all that work? Not the synthetics that we have to produce all of these chemicals and, you know, all of the earth altering things. This is a sense I get now. Give me a minute here. Yeah, they're giving, well, 6 is the number. I said, what's the timeline for this kind of activity coming into place? And they go 6 years. And I said, well, that's the number of the card. And they go, well, that's no coincidence. But within 6 years or less, there's going to be an extreme focus on natural, pure natural productions. I feel like we may have some scientists coming forth out of Canada with some great leaps in either medical, I mean, this happens all the time, really, but having to do specifically with ecosystems and coexisting the animals, the earth, and even the, like they're talking about cities and these kind of things, making it more, strategizing more for the environment rather than for like sustainability of the environment. There's a tipping point here in about 3 to 4 years, they said. After that will be great progress. So almost like 3 to 4 years will hit the lowest, most destructive point. And then after that point, there's going to be an extreme, like a have to extremely focus on this, because resources, these animals are going to go extinct that we didn't see coming. They're not going to be able to put the finger on it. And these are animals that were bred for the land. So kind of, I'm getting a sense they're almost synthetically created themselves. So that might be why nature's kind of taking it out. I don't know. If someone knows more about that, they can comment. But that's the sense I get. It's something like breeds, or oh, it may be, okay, maybe what do you call that, enhanced animals that are enhanced quite highly to the degree that just they're no good. They're no good for themselves or the earth anymore, even because they're so distorted genetically, biologically. All of it doesn't fit proper, is the sense I'm getting. Like, either there's, and they're showing me chickens as well as horses and pigs. So one of these lines, or maybe there's lines within these that have been played with genetically and modified to such a degree that they just can't sustain past a few years, and the whole line gets shut out. But this is kind of like the earth saying, well, it wasn't true to begin with. It wasn't a natural progression, so it needed to go. So something like this. So be aware of that. If people farming might know something about more about that. I know that there's genetically modified everything, so it doesn't surprise me with the animals. So the earth elemental greatly accept the abundance the earth bestows. Yeah, and they're going, within 6 years, we will start to truly see and morph our universe, or our country anyway, into form where we can coexist together. It's not there. It's not even close to there. So this is really coming they're showing me like a comet speeding through. It's like really fast, like they want this to start. And where the most changes are going to be made is, of course, on farmlands, but where, yeah, trying to, and they're going, there's some changes in government that need to happen to get this going, but over a 3-year period, I don't know when the flip over is here, pretty soon. But within a 3-year period, they say we will be able to have changes in government that are more naturally graceful in that way, meaning we'll open up areas into better, greener ways of being on the earth plane, because they're really kind of following the wrong precedents here. You know, there's people outside of us doing certain things that are not morally right for the earth, and we're following suit, and that's got to stop. So they're going, in 3 years, we're going to slow that down quite a bit and start paving a different road, which is hopeful. Okay, so that's the earth elemental, right? Greatly accept abundance. The earth bestows. So a feeling of gaining more from the earth than we ever have, as long as we've known here, in a more not so much productive, but coexisting way, where everybody is morally, it's all in the, how do you say, it's greener. It's just greener. Everybody, like, you know how you have like a fish tank and you have like the snails eat the debris, like all of these things work in an ecosystem, that kind of thing, where it's to the maximum that is attuned. I don't know how to say what they're telling me, but to a degree where the earth is giving back and it is respected, not abused, period. Okay. So for my Dreams of Gaia tarot, I pulled a card from there, and I got the Two of Earth. Again, that grounded earth, and the maiden, right? Shows here all the eggs, and again, they're bringing me back to the chickens. So it might be chickens that end up going. Okay, there's something to do with chickens or something in that way. But the sense I get here is that a lot more people will be doing a lot better, greener things for the earth, independently of the government, which will take a bit of time to push through, right? The boundaries there. But nonetheless, it just will happen, because just people will just be doing it, buying land or renting land or whatever it may be, where they do they have their own rules. and then it'll be like instead of the big businesses taking over, it'll be the small businesses will flourish more because of the attention and just the love that is given to smaller farms, less production, but more of them, that kind of thing, right? Instead of bigger farms, it's the opposite is what I'm seeing, okay? That's what I get from that card. So I got my messenger oracle, and I got a card from there, and it says here the ancient ones, and that of course talks of instinct. Usually in a tarot reading it talks of loved ones that have passed or knowledge from elders that is passed down. Give me a minute here there. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of truths that come forth. They're going 3 years again. In 3 years, something's going to happen here in government, like an unveiling of truths. And I feel this is greatly in the farming industry, a huge upheaval to the point where it just, the way things are going has to stop. Can't go any further because of something that's been let out or some truth that's come out or someone of high esteem, an elder, like somebody who I get the feeling it's either someone in parliament or someone very high in the higher upper echelons of business within the industry of farming and agriculture that kind of blows the lid off something where everything has to change because it's just the biggest upheaval, and they can't even make sense of it anymore. This is the sense I'm getting. And then they have the owl here, and they go, that's what oversees everything is the truth, right? And there may just be truths that come out about agriculture and farmland and the way that it's done that we will no longer want to play into that, right? So that's where we may come from big farmlands down to a lot of people running little farms, right? And that seems to be kind of where people are headed anyway. Like, some people, younger people are getting inspired to grow their own meat and grow their own, but they have a smaller amount of it. So they just sustain for themselves and then they sell what they can without being overwhelmed, right? Overpopulated. But a sense of higher knowledge within the system behind it, almost like a whistleblower in agriculture comes forth and says, this is what's happening, blah, blah, blah. And it's almost like he's either so close to retirement or so removed from the system that they can't touch him anymore. So he just blows the lid off everything and says, well, do what you want, but that's the truth kind of thing. So either they're showing me newspapers or like through news media releases it, CBC, that kind of thing. So anyway, that's that. Now, the last card I got is a card from my Voice of the Trees deck. Now, I'm going to go intuitively, and they're asking me to read from the book on it. So I'm going to do that. We get the aspen tree. So it talks about courage and steadfastness, and I feel like that's what's going to be brought about over this time. It's from 3 to 6 years down the road here. There's a lot of courage needed for those people in those specific areas to stand up for their rights and privileges, and not only that, of Canadians as well. I feel like they're not just standing up for their rights, they're standing up for others as well. And this is whenever you get this card, there's like a roar, like people have had it, they're fed up. And I feel it again in the agricultural area. So I'm going to look up this card and just read. So this is the last one for Canada. Oh man, I think I'm going to have to look through the index here. Oh, they don't have it indexed. Okay, what was it? Okay, so E. Yeah, like an uprising is what they literally said, like an uprising in the agricultural field. I keep forgetting to turn that off. Yeah, things have to change. And I feel like it's interesting because I feel like it's when I think about the government, I feel this uproar is independent of the government. The government just kind of steps aside and let people do their thing. So I don't know how that happens. But nonetheless, a sense of the government just kind of going, well, I don't know how this is going to happen, but we'll just wait and see. Okay, so I'm going to read the Aspen card. It shows an overhead view of distinguished trees towering toward the sky. The warrior woman has summoned inner strength and charges forward to battle. She's reminiscent of the Saskatch, who was the master warrior that gave the Irish hero his training. Would have gained her mastery of the warrior's arts by preparing herself properly in mind, body, and spirit, and learning to overcome the fear that can leave one unable to act when necessary. What they're explaining is like the government's gone too far, is what they said. Yeah. So associated with the Isle of Skye, where aspen trees are used to grow heavily and where some still remain to this day, the aspen leaves tremble around the warrior in the light breeze. A few have fallen from their branches. She knows that her time for trembling has passed, and inspired by the aspens around her, she draws up strength of her shadow side in the form of a fierce war cry and goes bravely forward with her leather-covered aspen shield. One of the lessons the aspen has for us is to keep our roots strong and draw upon our connection to others for strength in time of need. The tree has long been a test tree, associated with conquering fear due to the fact that it leaves trembled in the lightest of breezes, but the tree remains strong. Society of the Celts was a warrior society where men and women fought side by side. That place between fear and courage would have been a mystical place of decision of the unseen world. The aspen appears right before the U in the alphabet, which represents a gateway of mortality. The gateway of mortality. These two associations show one must embrace both life and the concept of death in order to find the strength to test or a battle. And that's the sense they're giving me here, is that this thing that everybody's rising up against on the Canadian soil, it has to do with deaths. And it may be of the animals, or it may be of the people, or it may be of both. And it dwindles down to government responsibility, but the government doesn't know what to do about it, so the people take over. It's the sense I get. But anyway, woo, that was heavy. Woo, didn't want to go that heavy. But nonetheless, there's a battle cry here for the earth and its powers and resources. So, hi, Lorette. Thanks for coming in. So, see, if this video is still around 6 years, that's a long way off, you know. But the sense here is there's some kind of a strain of either chickens or pigs or horses that completely get wiped out. And my feeling is it's because they're too genetically modified, and they just kind of they're gone. And the universe has something to do with that, because we cannot have things that are unnatural upon natural. That kind of feeling is what I'm getting. So that is Canada. A lot of agriculture stuff is highlighted. And man, yeah, that's heavy and sad as well. Okay, so now I'm going to move to the United States of America. And then we have England next. So for the feminine energies for the Americas, we have illumination. And that is, I get a sense too, kind of the feminine movement. It may have a lot more feminines in Parliament. Running the show, they said, period, big business and all. And then things will be changing from the top down. The sense here is that women, for whatever reason, I feel like this is universally supported. But at the same time, I see it going on around me and I know it. But it amazes me still. But this is the sense I get from the feminines in the United States of America is really going to come in and take over where naturally need be. And I'll expand more on that later here, because the sense I'm getting here is the compassion as well. And I push through that. They're making me feel that there's no compassion in the upper echelons of corporate America or business or Parliament. There is none of this. So if we have, well, you can have females that do the same thing, do not have. But if we shift the numbers in this way, which is what I feel universally is going to be supported, we will have a different take on things, a different approach, a different. And this is what I feel is coming. And they're going 1 to 3 years. Like, absolutely, it's happening already. And it's whether they're going, there's a lot of males that are fighting this, they'll just be taken out. It just won't be a problem. They may fight, kick and scream, but they just won't sustain, right? Because one, the women are coming up with better ideas. And I'm not saying this because I'm a woman. This is what I'm being told and channeled. Women are coming up with better ideas and are not afraid to try new things. Instead of going with the old, they're ready to start something new. Everybody's ready. Let's take a chance and go forward. So I feel like that kind of energy is hinging here in the next 3 years for the States on the feminine side. Now, how that plays out, I don't know. But for the masculine, we have balance. Okay. This is interesting. America. So we have the males trying to balance because they know there's a certain knowledge here that I don't know if it's intrinsically, spiritually inbred in them, but they kind of know it's the woman's time to kind of come forth and be known. There's a sense of knowing this and having to kind of back off and let it happen, but they're having a real time choking that back. It's a hard pill to swallow, especially for the males that are not so evolved as to accept a woman as an equal, right? So there's a sense of needing to balance that energy, especially I feel like the males for quite a while are going to be wearing a mask. And I'm saying males, but masculine energies that are running the shows here, they're really going to have, they got an illusion going on no matter, but they realize they have to kind of take a back seat, and they're going to try and figure out a way to like trickery and foolery is what I'm getting. But at the same time, this is meant to be as fated. This is fated as the time, and probably the universal energies, everything is fated to have this compassion come forth. So we cannot wear masks of anger and greed and get away with, you know what I mean? There's a sense here of doing that, of still wanting. And the thing is we may have the feminines leading the show with the money as the price point, but they will soon come to know that it's compassion that absolutely, we may not be making the figures, but the people are more happy and everything's more content and things are being less stress. This kind of thing, I feel a wave of that going over the United States in 1 to 3 years. So there's something that's in charge that I feel it's a feminine type movement. I don't want to say that too harshly, but I feel like it's the feminines that are getting in control here, and they're making stands. We just can't, no longer can we go farther in what we're doing to these people. That's what I'm hearing. Can no longer go farther in this. So a sense of standing up for the rights, right? For rights, period. Yeah. So wow. Okay. So that is the masculine and feminine energy. So again, the feminine movement kind of coming forward naturally, universally guided, it's pushed. The male's going, woo, I know this is going to happen, but you know, the nose may be at a joint, and they're trying to, the sense I'm getting is they're going to let them in and then control them after. But the sense I'm getting as well is like, no, you can't. Because once they're in, and they start controlling things, and things are going to be done differently. So you're either going to have to support them or leave. So this is the options for the ones that don't disagree. So there may be masculines there that see the light as well, but it's the compassion that needs to come forth. And there is this here on the masculine side, the money, the, you know, it's the same in Canada as well. That all has to come to an end. And the sense is that this is what's going to happen here. But there's a sense that we can fool this, and it's just not going to happen. Okay, so a sense of that feminine movement going forward, and the masculines trying to adjust to that and balance things out. But again, you're either for the movement or you're out of there. So whew, the conscious spirit card I get for the United States of America is movement and meditation. I celebrate and honor my physical body through dance and movement. Through this card is what it speaks of, but the sense I'm getting is the movement of the people. And not only that, I get a sense just one person has to say one thing in the press and it kind of explodes. Like finally the Americas, they kind of stand up, and they are standing up, and children are standing up, which is surprised. They're showing everybody else how it's done. Look, we are more than da da da. So a feeling of taking action and getting shit done, really. It's the sense I get here. And also a higher sense of people really understanding from their hearts and bleeding out from their hearts, not literally, but the cry, the sobs of each individual person that is not in the right place. It's like all that energy goes to a place to fuel the right way of things. You know, it's almost like that's kind of the meditation I'm seeing there. Is there's such a discrepancy between you know, the rich and the poor. Like it's just either you're rich or you're poor. You're kind of not in the midway anymore. There's hardly anybody hanging on to that midway where you're doing okay. You know, it's just not that way. So that's the sense I'm getting here, is trying to balance that out to a degree. And I feel like that's also what the masculine is going to try, and the ones that are in power at this point, really is what I'm saying, are going to try and fake that. They're going to say, oh yeah, but you know, everybody's wise, hip to that now, right? They've got that all down. So now the people are going to start to take action forward here. I feel in the States there's going to be a lot of movements, period. Okay. So the Dreams of Gaia card, we have the Queen of Air. Again, the Owl of Truth is right up front, right? And there's an illumination here. Look at it. The Owl of Truth, wisdom, what works, what really should be working here. And a sense of illumination of the people, right? Which is everywhere. But the sense I'm getting is kind of like there's not an area that's not, that's how do you say, untouched by this, you know, great breaking, how do I, my vocabulary. Diversity of the Yeah, society. It's either here or you're here. Like you're either here or you're down here. And the sense is that we're going to get, no matter where you are, our minds are in the same place. A lot of us, right? I mean, the upper echelons, they kind of don't, they count, but they don't count. And the sense that I get here is that we're, you know, there's going to be powerful people up there as well with hearts that are going to start pulling strings that they can do. And that's going to make a huge difference, right? So kind of turning on the side of monopolizing all of that, right? Because state's kind of good for monopolizing things. They're going to turn on that and go for the power of the people over, right? Suffering and pain. Because a lot of that is what I'm feeling. From the states, suffering, pain, stress, anxiety, like everywhere that is rampant, but more so there. Well, no, it's everywhere on earth. They're going, it's all showing just pools of, but enlightenment of the mind and the truth that will set you free, and the wisdom to use the truth to move forward is what's going on here. Now, the messenger cards show that you care. Again, using that instinct, compassion, right, for the fellow man, right? Because this is really the powers that be, no matter where you are on the earth, they really try and separate. So the more that you turn to your fellow man and communicate and bring together, the more powerful you become, and the more successful you will be. The more you segregate, the more you can be taken down, right? So it's anti that, right? Is the sense I get. So a need for the states to do that, and I think that's going to be their challenge, is to turn to the fellow man and do this, because they've been so programmed to not, and to do it with such anger and resentment and hatred. So this is really a turning point where the transformation will take place in the states, because when you can truly have heart for your fellow man that was once an enemy, and you see that the what's the word, like the likeness of being in that person, you know, I've seen this in little examples here and there, where people have been in a situation where they've hated someone because of skin color, creed, whatever, and then they get to know them and they have the commonalities there, and then suddenly it's like, why was I doing that? Why was I even looking through that lens? I should not have been that way, right? So this is the sense I'm getting, and I feel like for the states, going to be a real challenge to do that. For some people, it won't be a challenge at all. That's their nature, and they're weeded in and out of all of the communities and whatnot. But for some, it's going to be a real, I mean, there's ones running the show here that are just, they just can't handle. So for them, it's going to be a real challenge, right? For those who are truly compassionate and doing this already, it's not going to be as hard. But for those that have to eat words, and one day they may be at a point where they need compassion and they're just not going to get it. So that's going to be a huge challenge I see for the states, but nonetheless some wisdom coming forth in movements, and they're going movements, like people march, all of it that's starting already is going to be rampant. 1 to 3 years, people are going to go kind of ape shit. Enough is enough. People have had enough already, but they're tired. So they got to find the truth and bear down and meditate on what kind of a future they want, and then start fighting. Now, I'm going to take these down here. The Voice of the Trees card I got was inspiration and wisdom. And again, they want me to read from the book, but I'm going to go intuitively. We have this trout coming out to eat whatever it is, a firefly or whatnot in the river. So he's in his natural environment, doing naturally what he wants to do, and free to do it, right? And the water's rushing. So the sense I'm getting for the United States is that's what we want to do. We want to be able to be free. And I get a sense people are just not feeling free anymore. They're so hung up, so programmed, so nailed to the cross on everything. that they really have, well, one, they can't make the money because of the system is askew, and two, they can't enjoy their life because the system is askew. So it's really bucking the system, right? So a sense of wanting to be free, like that fish in the river, able to just kind of, do your thing and go about it. So I'm going to read from that here and see what I get. Yeah, like people can't relax, cannot do this. There's too many stresses in too many areas, and we cannot build if our base is not safe. And too many people feeling unsafe, ungrounded. People are really in between worlds at this point. They feel like they don't want to be on the earth anymore because they can't handle the stress. So they're up in their heads, but they're not constructive because there's no hope, which is sad. Okay. Hazel, okay. In one Celtic legend, according to a prophecy, a man named Finn would eat a salmon of wisdom and thereby gain its power. An old poet, see again the wisdom, right? We're bringing from this bird. I'm going to put this guy up because they're making me well aware of the wisdom flying in here. We're going to gain wisdom, right? Okay, starting again. Finn would eat the salmon of wisdom and thereby gain its power. An old poet named Finnegas had been trying to catch the mysterious salmon that lived in the Benin River beneath the hazel tree, dining on hazelnuts. Believing that he could be the one destined to gain the wisdom, he stopped a traveling lad and asked for his help. The fish jumped out at the young man's feet, and the traveler agreed to roast the fish for Finnegas, and who told him to be very careful not to taste even a small amount. As he roasted the fish, a blister rose up on the salmon skin, and the youth pushed it down with his thumb, burning himself. He immediately put his thumb into his mouth. He served the salmon to Finnegas, who, knowing the power of the salmon, was in the first taste of it, asked, "You didn't eat any, did you?" He told the old poet about his injury and his accidental taste of the fish when he licked his fingers, and the Finnegas said, "Your name must be Finn." The young man was indeed Finn MacCool Macumhale, who later became a great Irish hero known for his wisdom and gift for otherworldly knowledge. Whenever he wanted to access the divine gift of prophecy, he bit upon his thumb. The hazel has been revered for its wonderful nuts, which have long been associated with wisdom, inspiration, and enlightenment. And the hazel is the 9th tree in the Ogham, and the salmon ate 9 hazelnuts. 9 is a sacred number to the Celts, the number of enlightenment. So hazelnuts have been used for good luck, and hazel branches have been used as wands and dowsing rods. So again, picking up on what I was picking up as well on enlightenment, wisdom, and inspiration. Because I feel right now going through the United States is just a sense of overwhelming, overburdening, and kind of lack of hope. But there's a sense here that, and I feel this is going to come from the youth, younger children are going to give a sense of inspiration to the older, and then they'll all join together. It's really a healing time over the next 6 years for the United States, the earth, soil. They're not so much showing me the soil as much as the people on it for this country. They really need to join together because the earth is needing that to heal itself, because we cannot have people running around on this earth in segregation when we're trying to heal the earth. Do you understand what I mean? I do, as a frequency reader, but if you have each individual person having kind of it's almost like little lightning rods. But when we join together and we help soothe each other, it turns into waves of water instead of shards of lightning, you know, and it makes it easier. The earth can heal along with the people, and it's symbiotic. So that's really what I'm getting. Well, again, usually deep readings. Okay, so for the United States, a lot of healing, and with that will come inspiration, and with that will come movement, and with that will come change. And again, with feminine energy coming forth to change the perspective, illuminate what the heart center of the United States needs to be brought back. So that's what's going to happen. 6 to 10 years for sure. For sure. They're going 1 to 3 is kind of the zone as well as what I'm getting, where we kind of hit rock bottom here. Like we don't feel like we're in it already, right? So wow, I just feel like crying. But anyway, okay. So last for this evening is England. So again, masculine and feminine energy. We start with the feminine for England, and we get reduction. So, yep, reduce, reuse, recycle. So there may be some, there may be some trend-setting ways that come out of England in the way of like trash and reusables and whatnot. Like we may be bringing forth innovations in this way quite highly over the next while. And they're showing me food everywhere, all the resource. We want it renewable. We want it sustainable. We want it broken down, like the waste, zero waste, that kind of thing. A real high focus on this, which is really good, because the moment one country does it, then other countries can follow suit, right? And this is the sense, I feel like whoever, I don't know whose energy I'm picking up on, if it's Parliament or whatnot, but there's really a movement to push the waste. We want to be like low waste. And it's like we got to get to a certain point here where we get everybody involved. So there's a high energy field for this. Very much so. Like we're not scattered. You know, the United States is very scattered, disjointed, and Canada is very sectioned off as well in the energy pockets of what they want to do and how they want to do it. And again, not coming together. But I feel like England, not so much. We've got a lot of people all focusing on just one. We all focus on one goal, we attain it, move to the next. That's kind of the scenario I'm getting. So whoever's running the show, whether it's in Parliament or behind the scenes here, which is the sense I get, not necessarily in Parliament, but upper areas where we can move and shake, and we've got abilities to do this and resources to go to other countries and see how it's done, bring it back home, that kind of thing. So a lot of that on the recycle, reuse, and that is the feminine energy. So yeah, using less waste, and recycling the waste that we do make. And I feel like we're going to do it here. We're not going to ship things. We're not going to gain things. We don't need. We want to be very independent of other countries in this way. They want to be able to do self-sustain in this way. Okay, is the sense I'm getting. So for the masculine energy in England, we have sacrifice. Now, give me a moment here. Very refreshing energy coming from England, I must say. Because the sense here, right? Because this is sacrifice. It's like if things need to be done, like there's somebody in charge who's just no shit. We're going to make a difference here. Nobody else on the earth is making a difference. We're going to make a difference. And I don't care if they're doing it or they're not doing it. We're going to do it, and that's it. That's the sense. I got someone with a lot of guts and gusto. And if that means cutting people out that have been in for years and years and years, then so be it. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to. So it may be your prime minister or someone of that way that has that much power and clout. We're going to take this out, this out, this out. Or someone that organizes and really routes people and puts them in the right places. sense of going like this, take one out, put one in, take one out, put one in. This is a problem, take this person out, put one in. Like we're really getting into people's positions and going, well, that didn't work, we got to get rid of it and refresh that energy. And I feel like the choices being made may even be highly guided, but also are going to be really just good, solid decisions. It's like nobody's done this before. Nobody's taken toll and said, you know, you're doing a bad job. This is kind of the sense I'm getting. We get somebody in here that's just saying, why has this not been done? Why has this person not been removed? Because we're not making headway here. This kind of thing. So this is really productive, really refreshing energy, especially, again, it could be Parliament. We'll see. I don't have much faith in Parliament no matter where, but we'll see. So very good note to end on here rather than what I was coming from was depressing. But nonetheless, being thankful, right? So the next card I get from the Conscious Spirit deck, again for England, is Archangel Raphael. I invite Archangel Raphael to bring healing and knowledge into my life. Now, he is kind of, yeah. Just give me a moment here. It's interesting what they're showing me. I don't know quite how to interpret, but if we're to look at England as a map, as soil, as on the earth of England, they're showing me all these little Raphael angels coming from the soil, okay, and an uprising of this, okay? So he brings healing and knowledge. So it is this sense, you know, like when I go back to here, these two cards of people just being suddenly in the right place at the right time and making the right decisions and making people accountable is what they said. We're going to make people accountable. No longer can they sit there and just be guaranteed their job and their wage for not doing anything for it. These people need to be accountable. Okay, so wherever that goes, right? So a lot of healing is going to come from the earth. So I feel so literally comes right up through the people and into, right? And again, you know, the ascension process here of people waking up to scenarios of being seeing through illusions, right? If we're being tricked, we're seeing through it. So it's like, no, you're not going to pass. You're not going to go another year making assumptions like this, making, you know, job decisions like this, whatever it is. So that's a sense that I'm feeling is like the people from the inside will heal, right? And again, people above are actually, it's almost like we got a tower come through, a clean slate, and we got people in here that are meant to be in here to make the decisions that need to be made, and now they're going to do it, and they're going to filter it downwards. So through all of that, we have Raphael bringing healing, and I feel like it may even be from Parliament back down to people, meaning there's not a lot of faith put in the Parliament, so the people have to heal first to bring faith back no matter who's there. But I do feel there's a switching of the guard here, so to speak, where we have different refreshing energy, but the people's hearts are not in the same place. They're not inspired to put any emphasis on that leader to say, yeah, he could do it. Again, it kind of lack of inspiration there. So I feel like that's going to be going on here for quite a while to heal the hearts of the many. Just kind of in disdain at this point is the sense I'm getting. We don't care. Parliament, who cares? Who cares? You know, lack of interest, really. So that's why he's there, is to get that interest back and to get people in there that actually do things, say that they're going to do things and do what they say, and then people start waking up and go, wait a minute, they're doing. So then it starts to bring it back, right? Okay. So the Dreams of Gaia tarot card, I get the Four of Earth. Very strong card, and if you look, right, his arm there, he's got a scar on his arm over here. It's bleeding, but he's still powerful, and he's of the earth energy, and he's going to push forward, right? And that's the sense I get from the spirit. Rather than on the skin of these Europeans, I feel like it's the spirit has been lost or is dampened, is what they said. It's been dampened to a degree that, again, not having a lot of faith in the powers that be, right, to do the right things. But I feel here in England, there's going to be something moving, shaking. I don't know if it's the one that's here doing things now, or the one that's coming in, or just the people that seem to filter in the movement. Because it may be here, but we may not see results of this for a year or two down the road, or 3. So be aware of that, because we may not be giving credit where credit is due. But the person that's up there doesn't matter anyway. He's on a mission. He knows what his mission is. He's completing it. That's it. And that's the sense I get. He's highly driven, highly guided, and he's going to do. And it doesn't, a lot of that has to go out one ear, because you're there to do. You only have a certain amount of time, so you just do while you're there. But very conscious and aware. But again, the spirit is dampened. So that's the sense I get from that card, 4 of Earth. We're dampened, but we're very strong. We're very, it's just our soul's dampened. We got a lot here. He's got muscles and horns. We can do a lot of stuff physically, but our spirit's not quite in it, okay? So the messenger deck, let 2 become 1. This is interesting, because this is the Lover's card. Again, sticking with that earth energy, eh? All the way through, talking about the earth and the land, but we're going up to people but staying green, which is fascinating to me. And they're making me see those roses. And I think that's about, again, the joining together of people. To have the faith, okay. It's really refreshing here. What I'm getting from England is like, basically, as a couple, when you have that honeymoon phase and everybody's happy and you're going out and you're going to dinners and whatever, it's almost, they're giving me the feeling, don't laugh, of Parliament and the people, getting them back to a cohesive relationship where we can work together again. That's the sense they're giving me here. So I know that sounds goofy and whatnot, but that is really the higher realms here. They really do. I'm seeing it as one energy, one united energy. Now, it could be a lot of people just on the very same page, just a lot of people on the same, we're just going to tackle this plan and that's it. Or it could be one person that's kind of going to get everybody in line underneath them, okay? But the energy that I'm getting here is very focused, very dedicated, and very loyal and committed to get this stuff done. And they know they only have a certain amount of time to do it, so they're busting their ass to get it done. And again, from the outside or from news or whatever, you may not see the results of this till that person is moved on. So again, I'm not sure if it's the current prime minister or what's going on, but a sense of some of this stuff being done behind the scenes, okay? So the 2 become 1 is talking about Parliament and its people, that we join hands again, or after a long time of struggle and strife and non-merriment, right? I'm trying to get back. So that's the sense they give me with that card, which is interesting. Wow. And we've had a lot of, we've been wounded. The people have been wounded by the Parliament, so they're just very reluctant. And even her looking, the man's looking and going, what do you got? And she's like, I don't even want to see anymore. I don't care. They haven't done for so long. Why do I care now? But the man's going, well, maybe we should look, right? And that's the sense, is like just the beginning of a revival of the back and forth, where the way that Parliament should be. And again, maybe what do you call it? I was going to say stormtroopers, but they may be path weavers, for other countries to follow suit. Okay, so very good, refreshing energy, even though the people are dampened in spirit. There's a sense that the uppers will do what they need to do, and then the people will realize after the fact. I feel like if it's someone in parliament, it'll be after they're out of parliament, but there's always the thing you can, go back and but that's the sense I get, is that it'll be kind of after the deeds are done, then the people will wake up and go, oh, this was actually done, right? Kind of reverse of how the trickery is. So it's a good refreshing. Just a lot of people not, maybe this man or group of people that are responsible for this change not really getting the credit, but it doesn't matter because they made the change, and that's what matters to them. That's why they did it. So a sense of that happening here. And then the last card for England is the Ash card, and it's about transformation and action. And again, the action that these people in the uppers put forth is really what's going to resonate like sound barriers, after they're gone. And it may be literal death. These people are upwards, where people find out this is how it happened, or just people that are out of parliament, out of power by the time all of these things come through. Okay, so I'm going to look up Ash here and just read the little story for England. It's a very, I feel like the people are sleeping or in slumber, but the uppers, the action is happening where it needs to happen, but the people are just very, not shaken, but dampened. They keep giving me dampened, and that's just what it is. A dampened spirit about faith in anything really going above and beyond, right? Okay, so Ash. The ash tree is part of a magical, oh man, why do they put big words in here? Part of a magical triumvirate of the fairy grove, oak, ash, and thorn. Ash is the tree that is steeped in myth. It was believed by the Norse to be the world tree. The sun god Lu was described as bearing a magical sphere of ash wood called mylar. It was said that no battle could be sustained against it or against the man who held it. One of the titles was Lu of the Long Arm, possibly suggesting the spear as part of him. Here on the ash card, we see Lu with the sun shining on his shoulders through the mighty ash tree. I can't read up there. He wears wad war paint as he sharpens his bronze spearhead with a stone, preparing to decisively face a conflict head-on. Lu has many talents, among them blacksmith, cupbearer, bard, wheelwright, hero, historian, poet, harper, craftsman, sorcerer, and warrior. Lu is truly a man of action, and his action is backed by wisdom, and that is exactly the way I feel. Again, I'm picking up on one energy, but it could be a strong uniting of many, okay? But they're all the same focus, and it's in one direction. As he sharpens his spear, focusing upon his goals, he breaks inertia and knows that the initiative he takes will bravely bring about change in the world. And on a spiritual level, he is aware that in order to make the music and write the poetry that he loves, he must sometimes boldly shake things up and fight for what is needed to protect these things in life. In addition to its popularity with the Celts for making spears, the ash was also the wood of choice among many Fletchers for making arrows. The European or common ash is native to most of Europe and has quite a few close cousins in the United States. Such as, I find this is very, just listen, bear with me here. Is native to most of Europe and has quite a few close cousins in the United States, such as white ash, blue ash, and green ash. Ash is a deciduous tree with tall, doomed crown. They commonly are around 50 to 70 feet tall, and some of the oldest around 250 years old. Its bark is smooth on young trees, becoming darker and rougher with age, bearing many furrows and ridges. Its leaves are some of the last to open in the spring and are pinnate, compound leaves with 7 to 13 broad scattered leaflets. I find it interesting they make reference to the United States in here, because the feeling I got through the reading that I didn't even verbalize was that there was a lot of comparisons, it could be in government, to Europe going, well, the States aren't doing it that way. And the guy goes, I don't care what the States are doing, we're doing it this way. You know what I mean? Like comparing, because there's a lot of comparisons that can go on. Hey, Lorette. Hey, Roxanne. Sorry, I'm a little behind the 8 ball here. But nonetheless, really coming forth to break ground is what I feel Europe's going, or England, not all of Europe, but England is going to do here. And it may be in the recycling genre, and the sense I get is we want to be independent. We want to do this in our own country, for our own country, and within its bounds. We don't have to deal with anybody else outside of us for any of these things. And it may have been we got stung by another country in some way, and this is what's charged them. I don't know. But yeah, interesting. And transformation and action, which is what I feel is, I mean, going to happen everywhere. Everywhere it kind of naturally evolves and progresses, but the sunshine really lighting up the fact that it's good. There's a good energy that's coming from England here, of positivity. It may not be, interestingly enough, from the people themselves, but the government will slowly change things behind the scenes, which is not usually the norm, right? It's the other way around. The people got to make uproar. But it's kind of like there's going to be some kind of behind the scenes thing. And again, I see it as Parliament because it's usually who runs the show, but there's a lot of big changes in many ways that I feel like other countries will be following England for this one specific area that they turn to. And what I get a sense of is some kind of a recycling or having to do with rubbish in the country is what they're telling me. It's the rubbish. We're cleaning up the rubbish and da da da. So it has to do with all of that stuff. Being more self-sustainable, self-sufficient in that way. So those were interesting. Shocked. I didn't know what we were going to get here. And I kind of got a myriad of everything. I know I'm in late. I got a lot of stuff going on. I got my boys, I don't know, graduation to the bigger grades, basically, coming up. So I'm just flustered with everything. But so those were the readings for Canada, United States, and Britain, or England, sorry. So tomorrow or by Friday or on the weekend, I don't know, depending on my schedule, we had votes for Pakistan, New Zealand, and the Philippines. So those will be the next 3 that I go to, which will be interesting. And it was funny because I said, well, I don't know much about England, or no, I don't know much about Philippines or Pakistan. They're like, don't do research till after. We don't want you getting filled up with stuff and then trying to filter. So I'm not going to do any research. I'm just going to go by heart and see how it goes. So thanks, guys. Vivian, yes, very. I almost cried twice, but I managed to not do it. The United States, oh, my heart goes out, but you know what? We kind of have to hit rock bottom before we can change. And unfortunately, the leader of the show here, he's kind of, I think, rock bottom. So the good news is that change is going to be on the other end of this. And the people have had enough. And just tiredness is what I'm getting from a lot of people. And then Canada, a lot of it was earth, literally earth-grounded stuff that I was picking up on. So that was interesting. A bigger expanse, and then overcrowding of the United States. I was very spiritually aware of that. Even though there are places just like Canada that have open spaces, I was feeling more the intensity of the anxiety and all of that. So very sympathetic in that way. But Again, you know, how it works out. But they're basically showing me a span of 1 to 3 to 6 years. So who knows? But if it brings faith for someone. But again, and then a refreshing energy from England at the end. They kind of tied it all up in a nice sunshiny way. So I am going to head out here. So thanks, guys, for coming in. Thanks, Vivian. Hope you enjoyed. These are different readings I just thought of for something different. Kind of shocked and surprised myself with the energy that was coming through. And I'm not the greatest for all of this political history and whatnot, but trying to be as general as I can. So you guys take care. I will see you sometime the end of this week for the rest of the countries. I'm going to try and do it tomorrow, but it may not happen. So just to warn you, take care, have fun, and be kind.